In this video, we're going to talk about commercial kitchen design and equipment, particularly with regard to golf courses. Carl, lovely to speak to you.
Well, thank you.
So there are different kinds of golf courses. I think there's public, private, country. Do we treat these kind of all the same?
Well, in general, they are. I mean, in terms of my end of the industry, they are. In general, there's two aspects to these operations. You've got usually a large catering facility where they'll have events, and that space will have to serve large parties, that sort of thing. And then there's the 19th hole, the bar. So those, you're going to find those pretty much in any golf course.
So golf courses these days not only have people playing golf, but they might have some kind of convention facility or other. I mean, how many people are we talking about in these bigger venues?
We treat them pretty much like any other catering hall. We're going to set up a facility that's capable of feeding 200, 250 people at an event. Because as you know, golf's gotten really popular, and it's very popular for people to use it as even a corporate event.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me. So let's say we're putting together one of these kitchens and we've got a bar as well outside. What are some of the commercial kitchen design aspects that we need to be aware of?
Well, anytime you're doing a catering space, you have to think about how you're going to get 100 to 200 meals on the table, hot, appetizing, all at the same time. And people might think that there's an army in the back somehow, plating all of these elegant meals and getting them all out to the table, but that isn't the case at all. You have to design it so there's a minimum of people working back there that can manage to make that happen. There's a lot of new equipment in the industry today that makes that happen. We've got cook and hold equipment. We've got blast chillers and retherming equipment. These are things that allow you to prep things ahead of time and retherm them, get them on the table, and not have it feel like it's a TV dinner.
You've said two terms I don't understand.
Okay.
Many, but among them, prep and hold and therm.
Well, a cook and hold is a piece of equipment where you can roast a piece of it could be a turkey, it could be a roast beef, something like that. You can start that process hours before you need it. And that's one less thing you need to do in a rush at the end. So you can start a cook and hold process long before the party's about to begin. And then when, you can time that so that when you are ready to carve that roast or that turkey, it's ready to go. Blast chillers will take food that has been, again, prepared earlier in the day, chill it really quickly so that you're not losing quality, you're not losing moisture. Okay? And again, as you need it, pull it out of the blast chiller, retherm it, get it on a plate and send it out.
So I'm thinking retherming is reheating.
Bringing it up to a temperature where a person wants to eat it, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So these are technologies that didn't exist a long time ago. And a lot of times when you're dealing with a chef that's not totally up to speed on the new equipment, you have to explain it to them. And in a lot of cases, you have to bring them to a test kitchen, let them play with this equipment, let them see how terrific it does, how simple it makes their life now. And usually they're sold.
So one of the things you mentioned there, which I think is very important, particularly for Culinary Depot, is being sort of chef-centric. How important is it to work with the chef when it comes to designing these kinds of kitchens? And does the chef have to be a golfer? I'm just asking.
I haven't met a chef that is a golfer yet, because they generally work weird hours. But generally speaking, you absolutely have to know the way they operate. Every chef's got a wish list of equipment that he wants in his kitchen. Every chef has a particular way of doing what he does. So you have to work with him. But along the process, you have to explain to him how you think you can improve his life, how you think you could speed things up, maybe eliminate one or two people from that kitchen, making it run a little more streamlined. And there's a lot of suggestions we like to make along the way to, to speed things up in the kitchen.
So what about the bar out the front, the 19th hole? What are some of the considerations when it comes to designing a commercial kitchen for a bar?
Well, what's gotten really popular today is high-end liquors. Again, people are drinking expensive bourbons and whiskeys and things like this. The last thing you want to do is put inferior ice in that glass. If an ice cube that hasn't been made with filtered water is going to affect the taste of a high-end. Nobody wants to spend $30 on a glass of whiskey and have it taste like a bad ice cube. In addition to that, there are gourmet ice cubes. If you've been to a high-end bar recently, you may find that there's a larger cube, a real rock of ice in that glass. And there are only a few machines in the industry capable of making that large cube that you want to put in an expensive whiskey. And again, the reason you want to do that is because a large cube is going to melt slower. And it's not going to dilute that liquor. You put tiny little ice cubes in there, and in 10 minutes, you've got half water and half whiskey, and you've got an unhappy customer.
I had no idea that there was a bad ice. I didn't know even that existed, let alone what goes into it. So there's filtration that creates a sort of, I guess, a better water to build the ice from.
Clean water is everything, yeah.
Interesting. And then there are different shapes and sizes that have an effect as well? In
general, if you're just serving soda at a pizza place, you can put small ice cubes in the cup and fill it up 90% with ice and 10% with soda, and it's a profit maker. It's a profit center. Anytime you go and you get this cup that's mostly ice, that operator is maximizing his profits on soda.
Well, that's a nice way of putting that.
Yeah, he's maximizing. But yes, you're certainly not going to want to put that type of ice into an expensive top shelf liquor.
Interesting. Are there any other considerations that you'd like to talk about when it comes to golfers, golf courses, maybe even other sort of kitchens for sports? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, draft beer. Draft beer is a part of our industry that's extremely complex. People don't realize just how a great draft beer is wonderful, but a draft beer system that isn't maintained correctly is about the worst thing you can drink. You know, those lines get very dirty. The beer in that line, beer is food, and it goes bad. And if the lines running from that draft beer tower down to wherever that keg is are 50, 60, maybe even 100 feet long, and they aren't purged and cleaned regularly, you've got an awful lot of bad beer sitting in those lines. And believe me, we know when we take a sip out of those draft beer who's cleaning their systems and who's not.
Very interesting. All right, well, look, thank you so much for your insight there. A lot of information there. If you'd like to find out more about the commercial kitchen design aspects and equipment aspects, particularly with reference to golf courses, please visit us online at culinarydepot.inc.com.